Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. And I'm looking forward to this. It is one of my favorite of the lectures that I do as well. I do have fun with this because even just a few years ago, it all started out with challenges, whether it's an exercise challenge, a food challenge, whatever. There are challenges for everything. And my concern is that I always say, okay, if it's a 30-day diet challenge, what do we do on the 31st day? I'll go out for pizza. I mean, it didn't end on the 31st day. So that's where I really came up with this idea because there is no graduation. When patients come in for my exercises for my office, if it's back exercises, neck exercises, what have you, they do them so diligently and they work so hard at it. And then they burn out. And I always say, this is not anything that you're going to graduate from. You'll be doing these the rest of your life. So you have to slow down a little, look, not that there's an end to it like a graduation, but how are you going to do it in such a way that years from now, this is still going to make sense to you? Today, we are so driven to do something, finish it, do something, finish it. What's the next thing? Where do we swipe to? What do we see next? Who do we see next? How do we react next? This is something that maybe they did it years ago this way. Our ancestors didn't really have these challenges and problems. They ate the way they ate, they worked the way they worked, and there didn't appear to be any sort of an end to it all, of course, until you pass away. So I've come up with this program that is exactly that. It's not a 30-day challenge. Any eating lifestyle, whether you are working toward treating a disease or preventing a disease, losing weight, longevity, anti-aging, it's something you're going to want to keep on. Now, say if it's for diabetic prevention. Diabetic prevention, you wouldn't do it for 3 months and then stop, because then you could become a diabetic. So you would want to be sure that you maintain those guidelines throughout your life. If it's for weight loss, countless people, and I'm sure a lot of hands will go up right now, is that countless people will say, I've lost the weight, now I've gone to the wedding, gone to my reunion, everything's fine. And then how many of them, hands up, will actually gain weight back? And sometimes they gain even more back than what they actually lost. And these days with Ozempic and these drugs that are really debilitating for the body, they appear to give you false hope. And this false hope you can pay for the rest of your life with a lot of the damage that you're doing. So I just want people to understand, first of all, we're not going to talk about drugs like that. I am a practitioner of acupuncture and I have for 30 years. I'm a chiropractic physician and I've been working with nutrition and even people over 65 for 30 years. I am now involved with an integrated medical clinic. I am the owner. I have a naturopath, nurse practitioner, and myself, and we put everything under one roof. So if there's medical guidance and there's a medical exam that needs to be done, we have someone for that. And if there is a healthy injection, like something like IV drips, or injection with ozone into certain areas of your body, either musculoskeletal or even stem cells that we do, and we can even do that with an IV, so your whole entire body gets help. This is what we do here. So what I'm talking about, and I will put this together here for you today, is that we're looking at the whole body, we're looking at your whole life, and you're also not having to go to one doctor for one thing, another doctor for another, afraid to talk to your medical doctor about weight loss, because maybe you don't want an injection or a pill. You want to do this naturally, and some patients are a little afraid to talk to their medical staff about that. So I want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to do what you are comfortable with and what you know will work for you, or something that you think will work and you'll try it. But have an open mind as to the fact that this is not an easy fix. Diet, nutrition, lifestyle, longevity, anti-aging is not an easy fix. It is a lifestyle. You don't develop a lifestyle next Tuesday. That's one of my favorite things to say. You don't become fit next Tuesday. You usually are not a diabetic next Tuesday or become a diabetic next Tuesday. These things can happen, but it takes time. So what we're going to talk about right now is how we're going to make that fit into our life for a long time and to be comfortable with it. Another thing about making it a lifestyle is that it's going to evolve as you do. Your age evolves, your lifestyle evolves, maybe where you live evolves. If you live near the ocean, maybe you'll eat more seafood. If you live in the mountains, maybe you won't. If your exercise by the ocean involves more swimming, boating, walking by the beach, mountain type of a lifestyle might be more skiing and hiking. So it's what is going to work for you. What I will talk about first is inflammation. We're not just going to talk about weight loss because so many diseases, as you know today, are as a result of an inflammatory process in our body, including cancer. So if you slow down or stop as much inflammation as possible, you will in turn be preventing these diseases. And in many, many cases in our office, we can reverse diseases, even autoimmune diseases, by how we have our patients eat and what supplementation they do and lifestyle changes. It happens. I am in recovery of ulcerative colitis now 25 years. I almost died in chiropractic school. My hemoglobin was 4, for those of you who understand that, it's supposed to be 12 to 14. I could have had a heart attack. And they did 2 operations, not a colostomy, but I had a fistula and a cyst, and those 2 operations, they had repaired those. I was on medications for about 3 years, and then I was a radio talk show host in Sedona, and I had to do research for my shows every week, and I started to research my own condition. And over another couple of years it took, it was kind of like a maze where I had to actually follow the direction where I wanted to go to get to the center, like the mouse, and get the piece of cheese and basically stop the ulcerative colitis. And I did it. So I've done a lot of the research for my patients already. And how did that start? It started in a food program, anti-inflammatory food program. Now, patients will usually now, one of the biggest, more popular things is to go gluten-free. Gluten-free is very important. Why? How come I could eat bread when I was a little kid and have a peanut butter sandwich and I wasn't allergic to peanuts? That's another story. But we could eat bread. Our parents ate bread. We could eat pizza. We could have donuts. We didn't get bloated. We could have cereal. But what's happened, even way before last 10 years, is they've actually taken the germ of the wheat. So there's a wheat germ, there's a germ in there of plants. And they actually genetically modified it to be larger than it should be to help feed the masses. So if they're bringing food into third world countries and they need to feed thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, instead of giving them 20 pounds of wheat per person, now they only have to maybe give them 5 pounds. So it's transported easier, it's distributed easier, it's grown easier. However, it's not easier on the body. And so many of our diseases will pretty much be response of a gluten intolerance or a grain intolerance, a glyphosate intolerance, which we all are intolerant to poison. And glyphosate is Roundup. That's what you spray on the weeds in the yard. And that also Monsanto, who makes that, has, I believe it's still the largest lawsuit and record ever because of the leukemia and other diseases that were gotten by Roundup. So if you don't buy something that is organic, not genetically modified, you don't know what's in it, how it's been treated, how it's going to process in your body. So if you eat a string bean, and we know it's non-GMO or genetically modified, meaning they didn't change that vegetable in the lab. They didn't change those seeds. Why do I want to change a seed? They want to change a seed to make it less desirable for the animals, the birds, the bugs that are going to eat that seed. So this way they don't have to use so much Roundup. However, it may not be Roundup that's the problem. It's the actual seed itself now, because it's been so modified, it does not process the same way in our body. What happens when things don't process properly? We're all healthcare people here. The body's going to respond to that. And that's generally an inflammatory response. So what's an inflammatory response? there's a problem here and the body has to respond to something that's different. I have a short video I show patients, even with musculoskeletal disorders, about inflammation. And it's a nice layperson film because it explains that when there is an inflammatory process or a process in the body that is not normal, the body has to send, the brain will send messages to the body in that area that this is inflammatory, there's inflammation, we have to fix and stop this. So on the film, it shows an ambulance getting to an accident. That's what our brain does with inflammation. It's going to send inflammatory chemicals to calm it down, to correct it, and to make changes. However, the body does not flush those out. That's why I do acupuncture. That's why we supplement. That's why we change diet, because those chemicals will stay there in the body. They will make scar tissue. Now, maybe in the nervous system, it's a different type of a tissue than musculoskeletal scar tissue. In our digestive system, urinary, respiratory, all of the systems in our skin, you know that you'll start to see these changes that have to go away. So then what happens is we need a drug. We need a procedure. We have to fix or cut it out.
That's where I want to.
If we ate the right way to begin with, so many of
you want gratitude, not attitude.
so we're really we really have to watch what we're putting into our body. And my other favorite saying is that you don't have to be a naked vegan marathon runner who lives in the woods, because then you wouldn't have anything exposed to you. You wouldn't have any clothes and soap problems. You're living in a tent, so you don't have electrical problems. And you're vegan. You're not eating meat. No. I also want to talk about cholesterol. Cholesterol, there are a lot of big myths about cholesterol. When you look into a food program, and I'm not going to put you on a food program. I know all of you have different programs you'd like to try, but what I can see across the board that is one common thread is cholesterol. Cholesterol we need in our body, we need in our brain, we need that in order to survive and build our hormones. How are you going to build hormones? You don't have any cholesterol. So they have us taking cholesterol medications to block cholesterol. In 2015, I believe, the American Heart Association had to retract the statement that said the cholesterol you eat will raise the cholesterol of your blood. That is not true. Saturated fats, yes, but not cholesterol. So people are afraid to eat eggs, they're afraid to eat bacon, they're afraid to eat anything, meat. They want to become a vegan. Veganism can be very dangerous for many people. I also address blood type. Certain blood types have to have certain types of food and should stay away from certain types of food. I'm B positive. I'm not built to be a vegan. And I think a lot of people aren't, but that is their choice. So when we look back again at cholesterol, think of a fire and the fireman. Now, the fireman is going to put out the fire. Your house is on fire. He comes there, she comes there. They've got the hoses. They're putting out the fire. Would you ever tell the fireman to go away before the fire was out? Probably not. I don't know anyone who would do that. However, the fire is inflammation. And the more inflammation you have, that's your fire. The fireman is cholesterol. So the higher the inflammation, the more you need the cholesterol. So if you have a huge fire, you need more firemen. You need a bigger hose. You need more water. You wouldn't shut off the water or stop the firemen from coming and putting out the fire. So why on God's green earth would you stop the cholesterol when that has been risen because of the inflammation? Let's think this through. Maybe if we decrease the inflammation, we're not going to have to worry about hiring more firemen. That's pretty much how this works. But how do you do it? How do you know what to do? Again, another thing I say is you don't have to live on broccoli and codfish or some sort of bland diet and not enjoy yourself. There are many, many things you can do. There are apps that you can see. And if you contact me later on my website or through my website, there are contacts. I can connect you with apps on the phone that are free and people to follow on YouTube who actually regularly, weekly, tell you where to shop, which I do with my patients, what selections you like. You like chips and salsa? You can still have chips and salsa, but there are other brands that you will have rather than the ones in the mainstream part of the supermarket. So We can work with that. We're not going to worry about the cholesterol. You have to address your heart issues, correct? But there are ways that you can change your diet, which doesn't happen next Tuesday, that over time, when you change these things, you will feel better. You're going to get more energy. You'll find yourself losing weight. And I don't want to say by accident, but by design. So if you're going to lose weight, you go on an anti-inflammatory or low inflammation diet, you will then see that weight start to fall off. It's almost impossible for it not to. And in doing so, you're going to have more energy to work out, to go on walks, to play with your kids and your grandkids, to go on vacations, hence burning more calories and keeping it off. You'll feel better about yourself, your skin, you'll look better. This is what inflammation and anti-inflammation do to us. There's a new term called inflammaging. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but inflammation and aging coming together as one. So we want to slow down aging. We want to slow down the wrinkles, make the skin look good, have the body look good. We also need to slow down the inflammation. And what we've found is that anti-aging isn't just about looking pretty and getting the skin done and getting the hair done and having the liposuction and all these things and the laser work. It's about eating properly, exercising properly, hydrating properly, and then getting back to your roots of how you should eat so that that inflammation is decreased, and then you start to look and feel better as an aging person. And I hope that makes sense to a lot of people. Another thing that people will do is and I do as well, is I follow a macro program, which is macronutrients. So rather than just saying, I need so much protein or so much meat, I like vegetables, I want to have a piece of pie, I'm going to have my beans or my rice. And then people really don't know how much they've had. And they have what's called a balanced diet, or they follow the old food pyramid, which really isn't right any longer. We call it the standard American diet, SAD, and we call it the SAD diet because it really is. So it has you filling up on carbohydrates. And if you look at the macros on the back of your anything, if you purchase something and it has how many fats, and the ingredients, and it'll have all of the nutritional value on the back. And it says at the bottom, it's very interesting. It has a little paragraph and it says based on a 2,000 calorie diet. And I believe last I looked, they recommend 800 carbohydrates a day. If I ate 800 carbohydrates a day, I'd have blood sugar issues. I'd be exhausted. I'd probably be 20 pounds more fat, and my body fat would be a lot higher than it is right now. So you want to look at your macronutrients. Micronutrients are your nutrients that you have, like your vitamins. Your macros are what you actually consume. So we would have you walk through a program with how much protein, how many carbohydrates, and how many fats. Then you do the math, you figure out your calories. When someone says, well, I eat 2,000 calories a day, I eat 1,000 calories a day. For any of you out there who have done Weight Watchers, Weight Watchers has since changed the points program, because we'll say they gave you 25 points a day, and a Snickers bar was 23 points. There was a way that you could have a Snickers bar and a bunch of carrots or celery, and then that was your full day. That's horrible. So they've changed it almost to a macro style program where they make sure you have so many vegetables, fruits, and protein, and work it down in carbohydrates that way. So you want to be sure that a high carbohydrate, low fat diet has not worked for so many people. We need healthy fats. We need to have our fish oils. We need to have the right saturated fats. You know about olive oil, coconut oil, MCT, which is the oil that is in coconut oil, okay? Medium triglyceride. And these are good oils for us. There are actually books out there that tell people not to eat oil, not vegetable oil. We don't want to eat bad oils, but we need to be aware of what it is that we're eating. And again, if anyone were ever to call me or to want to work with me, we would make sure we would educate you on the proper fats. And isn't that nice that you'd be able to have real butter on those string beans and enjoy them rather than having them dry, using something like margarine, which is really somewhat plastic. It's not just a hydrogenated fat that's bad for our heart, but now we've got microplastics in it, and that is a whole different discussion. So good old-fashioned grass-fed butter, which is from a cow that's in a pasture eating grass, and they whipped up the cream and they made butter, that's real. And that's what our ancestors ate. Nowadays, it's all messed up. There are great places like, of course, Sprouts, etc., and Whole Foods, but now Costco, Walmart, Target, of course, Trader Joe's, they have a lot of these things at a discounted price. So you don't have to go to the highest end stores to buy good food. And when you find yourself eating right, you'll find that you'll eat less. You won't need so many snacks. You won't get home after work and be craving the chips and the ice cream and the cookies. Your body is satisfied, or what we say, satiated. The brain is calm with it. And once that happens, you get into a good cycle. Vacations happen, holidays happen, Thanksgiving's coming, and people may say, I'm just going to go and not eat. I'm going to diet through Thanksgiving because I need to lose weight. I've done it myself years ago. Then that's Thanksgiving. The next day, you end up binging anyway because you resent it. So I tell patients, if you're losing weight, unless it's an obesity problem that you can die, that's a separate thing altogether. And I'm not talking about that. But your average patient losing 15, 25, 50 pounds, here's how it is. You know that you're going to eat on Thanksgiving. You try to do a little bit of healthier things than normal. If not, you're going to eat it. And you'll decide whether it's 24 hours, just Thanksgiving Day from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Friday, or 12 hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then Friday, you're back on that wagon. Or if you're in maintenance, it might be the Thursday of Thanksgiving, Friday, Saturday, you're dieting again. Sunday, you have a little bit of your leftovers, and then Monday morning, you're back on the wagon. It depends on your needs, your goals, but don't go into this not understanding that, or to really starve yourself or think for sure you're just going to get through this weekend eating carrot sticks. Probably not going to happen. You'll find yourself in that fridge sooner or later, binging and eating things that you didn't want to eat, or drinking, or whatever that. So I hope that if anything I got through here is that we need to balance. We need to listen to our bodies. We need to get good nutrition advice. And that's not just dietitian type things saying, here, this is what I want you to go home. I want you to not eat fats. I want you to not eat that. It's not always what you're not going to eat. It's what's going to nourish your body like a plant. If all you did was give the plant water or distilled water, it has no minerals or nutrients, and the plant's not going to do well. How would you do well either? So any information that you have that you would like from me, my business is Accurate Care Medical Wellness Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. My website is caringpainrelief.com, caringpainrelief.com. And my office number, I'll give it to you 3 times, 480-584-3955. 480-584-3955. And it's Dr. Leisa Grgula, Grgula, and 480-584-3955. Feel free to call. Perhaps we can do a Zoom call together. I have a program that you can lose in 6 weeks, 20 pounds, all your own food, no medications, and we teach you how to eat the right way. So any questions at all, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Leisa. We have a few questions. This is a very, very interesting and important topic for all of us. Sorry about that. What is the name of the film that you mentioned?
Oh, it's just a film. It's an instructional film, or not instructional. I guess it is. It's just an educational film for actually chiropractic patients. It's nothing that you can buy. And I want to say it's from 1996. It's that old. And I think it was on VHS, and we actually burned it to a CD, and now it's on the computer. But it's an old video, and I like it because it's a good layman's explanation, like what I just said to you. When you see that the ambulance there, because people will say, how did I get this inflammation in my shoulder? How are we going to stop it? And when I say I do acupuncture, it's like telling the ambulance to go home now. And don't send the ambulance. We have this under control. So it's not something that you could get. It's just an old information film.
Thank you. The next
You're welcome.
question is, please send us resources to reduce inflammation.
Okay, I have them on my website because I write the articles for the newspaper. I encourage people to go to my homepage and you'll see a photo. And right now I'm switching website companies, so there may be a little downtime, but right now it's about 3 or 4 weeks left. You'll see myself with I'm on golf course. I've got a pink golf cap on. And when you click on that, it brings you to a stem cell report or article I wrote on my own shoulder. But it brings you to the article page. Or you can go up to the top and say about or patients, and you'll see Dr. Leisa's articles. As you navigate through about 15 pages there, 8 years I've been writing that article for the paper, the health column, you will see different ones, inflammation. Once you read that, you'll get an idea of perhaps what to ask, and then we can talk from there. They're good sources for that.
Thank you, Dr. Leisa. I posted your health blog link on the chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have another question here.
And just a quick question, is that for my articles or the blog? Because there were two different. Is it the articles?
The question is, hold on. Do you have a, no, this is just a question. Do you have a program for perimenopause women to help with symptoms and weight?
Yes, we do. And we do hormone balancing here as well. We can recommend things to do. And with foods, you definitely want to ultimately have a goal of lower percent body fat. The higher percent body fat will have more toxins, just like steak fat, chicken fat. The animal holds the toxins in the fat. We're an animal. So our toxins, remember, from glyphosate, from other poisons, from things we're eating, microplastics, a lot of that stuff is stored in our fat. And when that happens, then it's going to affect our organs and especially ovaries in the menopausal process. It's usually the women who are higher body fat who will have a harder time with their perimenopause or menopause or postmenopause. Not that ladies who are leaner do not, but we work with that. Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, another question is, do you have one tip for getting started and getting to the 5th through the 6th day without giving in to inertia based on your experience and that of your clients?
Take it a day at a time and remember that there's no graduation, remember? So if the party is 2 weeks from now, or the graduation that you're going to, or the reunion is in 2 months, or the Christmas or the New Year's party, that's not a graduation. You want to keep it going. Make it fun for yourself. Look up, now we don't have to go to cookbooks anymore, really. You've got online, you've got YouTube. I've got links I can show you, that things that are exciting. Again, remember I said like chips and salsa, or I like pizza, I like this or that. How are we going to do that and stay on our program and not deplete ourselves? And when we deplete ourselves by that 6th day, or remember Thanksgiving coming up, the brain's going to flip it. And when the brain flips it, it's not going to be happy, and you will pretty much start to sabotage what you've done already. And that's how we get on the merry-go-round.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Leisa, for your time. I think we have exhausted all the questions.
Thank you.
And I have posted your link, www.caringpainrelief.com.
Yes, and go do that. Go right up there and look at the articles. I think they'll learn a lot if they look at all of that, and then feel free to call